Good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Welcome to today's celebration and monthly picket action, Hands Off Venezuela. We'll get started in a few minutes. We'll let folks join. Thank you for coming.
Hello, hello, Alison.
Hola, Camila, bienvenida. Un abrazo.
Gracias. También a ti.
Hola, ¿me escuchan?
Sí, todo bien, Carlos. Hola.
¿Cómo están?
Bien, bien. Comenzando. Okay. Hello, everyone. Greetings. Good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to today's celebration of freedom for Alex Saab, as well as the 35th consecutive monthly Hands Off Venezuela, No to Sanctions on Venezuela online picket action. It is my honor and pleasure to welcome you all here this evening or afternoon from wherever you are joining for an excellent program together as we celebrate the tremendous victory of the release of Alex Saab and recommit and redouble our voices to standing against US-led interference and sanctions against Venezuela. My name is Allison Bodine, and I am the coordinator of Fire This Time Movement for Social Justice, Venezuela Solidarity Campaign, as well as the author of the book, Revolution and Counter-Revolution in Venezuela from Battle of Ideas Press. This event is broadcast today from Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada, the traditional and unceded territories of the Tsleil-Waututh, Musqueam, and Squamish Coast Salish nations. I am so excited to welcome an excellent panel of speakers here today, because today we are celebrating a monumental victory. But I also, before we go into it, want to remind folks that there's translation for the program tonight, which is in English and in Spanish. So the translation system is already on. If you go navigate on your screen, there should be a globe near the bottom or 3 dots, and you should be able to enter the interpretation system and choose whether you want to listen in English or in Spanish. The instructions will also be in the chat in a minute. So I encourage folks to participate in whatever language works best for you. And I'm very grateful to our interpreters, Julieta and Salome, who are joining us for tonight's action. Today's action is organized by Fire This Time Movement for Social Justice, Venezuela Solidarity Campaign, the Venezuela Peace Committee in Winnipeg, and Just Peace Advocates, with the support of Venezuela Solidarity organizations and individuals across Canada. We are here today in order to mark, as we've said, an important victory. And before I say anything else, I think some of that victory is best shared through a video. So we're going to start with a short video of Alex's arrival in Venezuela and then continue on with our program.
La vida es un milagro constante y hoy el milagro de la libertad, el milagro de la justicia se ha hecho realidad.
Bestia enfurecida y él está de pie. Silba lenta muerte y él sigue de pie. Dueño de su suerte, tiempo navegante, cazador de lunes y soles errantes, errantes. Juez incompetente y aún está de pie. Dolor infinito y aún sigue de pie. No son los tendones los que le levantan, cuelga de sus sueños, pende de las luces de la patria, cual cañaveral al viento. Pueblo y corazón le mueven, niños que cumplidos 7 ya andarán la tabla del 9. Piedras del camino en cualquier dirección, quiebran huesos, rompen, fracturando.
Gracias al pueblo de Venezuela, me siento orgulloso.
Thank you to the people of Venezuela. I feel proud of having served the people of Venezuela and of serving this government, a government that is human, a government that is loyal, a government that does not abandon you, and a government that, like myself, has never given up, and a people that will never give up either. We shall overcome always.
It's with incredible emotion and feeling and love that we share that video. And thank you to the Free Alex Saab movement in Venezuela for sharing this victory with us and for leading this victory with us, including Camilla Fabry Saab, who we'll hear from later, the wife of Alex Saab, who has led us in this international campaign for justice, for freedom, that we have won and been victorious in. Today is a special monthly online picket because on December 20th, 2023, Venezuelan diplomat Alex Saab was released from US prison. This is a tremendous victory for the people of Venezuela and the international campaign for his freedom. The return of Alex Saab to Venezuela is a victory against the inhuman US blockade on Venezuela and for all working and oppressed people around the world who struggle for justice and freedom against US-led wars, occupations, sanctions, and attacks. With this tremendous victory, we are assured that through building a more united and stronger international movement, we will also defeat the cruel US blockade and sanctions on Venezuela. And that's what we're here to talk about and celebrate today. We know that every day the people of Venezuela continue to fight against US interference. Today is a strong example of this, as we'll hear and discuss with each other. But we know that we can also win, and that's what Alex Saab tells us. When we fight, when we organize, when we unite, we will and we can win. And that is what we see in the face of Alex Saab and everyone over this last whirlwind, really, of a month and 10 days. I can't imagine what life has been like for Camilla and for the Free Alex Saab movement, but watching it from afar has been so empowering and dynamic. So today at the Picket Action, I'm really excited to say we have an excellent panel to reflect on this victory, to celebrate, but also to arm ourselves with the information and perspective we need to continue this struggle against sanctions, blockade, and US-led interference. Featuring Carlos Ron, the Vice Minister for Foreign Affairs for North America of Venezuela, Camila Fabri Saab, the wife of freed political prisoner Alex Saab, Indriana Parada, a Venezuelan lawyer and human rights expert and leader in the Free Alex Saab movement, Dr. Maria Paez Victor, a Venezuelan Canadian sociologist and founding member of the Louis Riel Bolivarian Circle in Toronto, and then Jill Clark Golub, who is an organizer with Friends of Latin America in Maryland in the United States, but is here to talk about a new campaign, America Without Sanctions, and ask us all to join. This is an excellent panel of speakers, and I say let's go ahead. Let's go ahead with it and start. So my first speaker I want to introduce is Carlos Ron. He is Vice Minister of Foreign Affairs for North America at the Venezuelan Ministry of External Affairs and President of the Simón Bolivar Institute for Peace and Solidarity Among Peoples. As a diplomat, he was Venezuela's Chargé d'Affaires to the United States between 2017 and 2018, and he's represented Venezuela in the United States for longer than that, between 2014 and 2018, and then previously in Brazil from 2010 to 2014. So, Carlos, you have the job of starting off today's Picket action. Thank you so much for your time. Welcome.
Well, thank you, Alison, and thank you, everybody who's listening to us. This is really a great pleasure to be here to start, this new year with such a tremendous victory for the Venezuelan people, but for international solidarity as well, which is having Alex back in Venezuela, back with us. It shows that, we can never underestimate the power of social movements, the power of internationalism, the power of true solidarity, and that, when we work together, when we hold each other's hands, when we struggle for the same demands for justice, we can get things achieved. It's in the case of Canada. It's been fantastic that you guys have had these events month after month, that your solidarity has expressed itself in such a consistent and continuous manner. I think it's refreshing to see that so many people so committed to international solidarity that that today we can all jointly celebrate this great success. The emotions, of course, my emotions probably don't nearly get as close as Camila's, of course. I can imagine how happy she and all of her family were. But in truth, we were all Alex's family for the last 3 years. We all wanted him home. We all knew the importance of his struggle, of his commitment also to enduring that struggle. And it was a true celebration and triumph to have him back. So, I think also that we close the year with, a lot of hope, a lot of optimism. President Maduro addressed just a few weeks ago, addressed the nation at the National Assembly to talk about, the success that we've had in the last year, despite still maintaining the illegal sanctions on Venezuela. We have been for 10 quarters growing steadily in our economy, that's an amazing a feat, and it's a feat that was achieved by the Venezuelan people. Of course, there's a government that has helped direct policies towards that economic growth, but it's really the resistance and the commitment of the Venezuelan people, the grassroots movements and organizations that have led for us to have a different type of production, diversify our production, to guarantee our sovereignty with regards to food and our agricultural capacity. It's been really a joint effort by a people, a government convinced that despite the attacks and the aggressions, we have a right to design our own future. We have a right to sustain our democratic, direct democracy, a participatory democracy, a democracy where people are the protagonists, and to really defend our sovereignty and our national integrity. We also had an important victory, I think, not only for Venezuela, but for peace, which was that we had a very important referendum that took place in the month of December. It's a referendum where Venezuela, all of Venezuela, through an election, a vote, was able to reaffirm its convictions and reaffirm its claim, a historical claim, over the territory of Guayana Esequiba. This is a dispute that we had, for many years now with the British Empire, but that it comes to relevance in recent years because of the interests and because of the interference of the transnational corporations like ExxonMobil and of the presence of U.S. military personnel wanting to create, another point of pressure and of tension against Venezuela. By reaffirming our historical claim, by reaffirming our support for Venezuela's historical position in defending this territory, I think it was, a strong show of force of national unity. In the same way that we were all united to receive Alex, we were all united also to defend our territorial integrity, but also to defend peace, to defend our region, Latin America, South America in particular, as a zone of peace against this attempt by ExxonMobil and by the Southern Command to try to instigate more tensions and another conflict in the world. We know out of the assertions that were made by the White House and its national security advisors last year, that it is through the military industry and through propelling perpetual war that they're trying to sustain the U.S.'s dominance and hegemony over the world. So the idea that they can, create multiple war scenarios like we see today with, the intervention, of course, of the U.S. in the conflict in Ukraine, but also the support for the genocide that's taking place in Palestine. Well, we know that it is through war that imperialism exists and expands. So the idea that they could even try to generate, tensions in the border of Venezuela is, it was necessary for us to come out and resist that and express ourselves. So it was an important victory to have carried out the referendum, because it also made a very important meeting possible, which was a meeting of the two presidents, the president of Guyana and the president of Venezuela, that they sat down and, once again, it's a difficult process, of course, because, everybody is standing to their claims, but it's important that we always allow diplomacy to impose itself in these type of tensions and not go through the warmongering that the Southern Command and that other interests want to promote. So part of the victory of the referendum was that we achieved to sit down with both presidents, and there are ongoing conversations to see how we can find a solution that stays within the diplomacy and within dialogue between nations. Also, I think it was important for Venezuela that we reach these accords in Barbados to strengthen our political system, to strengthen our democratic process, to show the willingness of the Venezuelan government, the Venezuelan people, to maintain its democratic process under a shield of peace and of legality. And at least until this past weeks, we have seen a lot of advances towards carrying out elections in a peaceful manner, carrying out elections in the way that they have been programmed for this year, 2024. Unfortunately, and this is a lot of what I'm going to say now is pretty much fresh off the press today. But the United States has decided to once again threaten Venezuela in a way that we find unacceptable. There was a message yesterday because of an interpretation that they particularly have on the Barbados agreements, that they're trying to push to impose certain people as candidates in Venezuela's electoral process who have not fulfilled the requirements by law to be able to participate in these processes. Now, this is something, however, that was agreed to by the opposition unity platform that was present at Barbados, that had signed the agreement, that signed on the process that it would take for the candidates to validate basically their participation. But they've decided that the one candidate that is representing their interest, that is representing the interests of the coup mongers, for the historical coup mongers, the historical oligarchy of Venezuela, the historical sabotage against our democracy. Well, since they didn't fulfill their requirements, then they need to press against the Venezuelan government and impose their candidacy. Well, they should have learned by now that we are an independent nation, that we are a sovereign nation, that we have resisted all sorts of attacks and aggressions in the same way that Alex resisted in that prison cell for all those days, wanting to see his family, but also with the conviction that that he was going to come back to Venezuela. Well, in the same way, we'll resist whatever we have to resist, but we're not going to allow imperialism to attack Venezuela, to impose its will on Venezuela, and to make us and to try to force us into breaking our own laws or breaking our own democratic processes. Everything that we have done according to our constitution, according to our laws, and we're willing to defend that till the last possible struggle. We are convinced that the United States, it has erred in this attempt to force Venezuela, to blackmail Venezuela. This constant. There was a very offensive way in which yesterday the embassy or the so-called embassy, which is this fake figure that they have in Colombia, an office they have in Colombia, which they call the embassy to Venezuela, but doesn't really exist. Well, their Twitter account, went out and said that we had until April. It was kind of a threat, Venezuela has until April to decide to allow this person to run for office. To basically they want us to violate our laws, to violate our constitution, because otherwise they'll impose their threats. They'll cut off the licenses to the sanctions. Well, we've lived all these years with sanctions, and of course that's not what we want, because we believe that in international law, we believe that countries should not politicize their relations in that sense, but that they should work towards the mutual growth and improvement of all. But if we're going to be threatened, well, they also have to understand that we're not willing to take that, and that we're going to resist, and that we're moving forward with our electoral process, the president just made a call. The National Assembly just made a call today to advance on the electoral process, to have our elections the way it was assigned in the Constitution, and we're going to move forward with this, despite whatever threats they make. We're not willing to work. We're not willing to deal with threats or with coercion. We already showed that. If they persist in their attempts of coercion, well, that's going to have also consequences that they'll have to deal with. And you see, the problem is when we look at the state of the world and the state of the crisis that the U.S. is immersed in, they don't. I'm sure it's difficult for them to know what's going to happen in the next few months. They will also have very complicated elections, and they also have a lot of things to sort out inside their country. They want to once again make Venezuela an internal issue of their domestic policies and their campaigns. They mistreat our Venezuelan migrants and play with them in order to have it be part of their internal campaign and debates between two parties that every day I think resemble more and more each other. Well, the thing is, we're not willing to be a part of that game. Venezuela has its own destiny, its own future. Venezuela is not doing anything to attack the United States, but rather we're trying to live our own lives. We're trying to live our own economic development model, our own political and social model. The president has called for 7 important transformations seven goals that we have to work on for the next the next several years until that goal of the year 2030. We're going to be working on modernizing the economy, on creating a new diversified economy. Now, we're going to have Alex as one of the protagonists precisely of that effort, as he's heading a very important position now with the investments in Venezuela. We're going to work towards full independence. This means, updating and expanding the Bolivarian doctrine in all its dimensions: political, scientific, cultural, technological. We want to work on our peace, security, and territorial integrity, defending our claim to Guyana Esequiba, but also, to guarantee the full enjoyment of our human rights, the full enjoyment of peace, of social justice. We have to work, we're going to work on the social transformation of Venezuela to recover that state of social well-being, our social missions, our projects that have been so affected by the sanctions during the last years. We will continue to work on the political transformation, again, direct democracy with Republican ethics. We are also going to work in the environmental issues, addressing the climate crisis, raising consciousness, how to protect the common goods of nature and preserve them, and against the threats and voracity of capitalism. And finally, the 7th transformation that we're going to be working for the next couple of years is a geopolitical transformation, how we insert Venezuela in this new world order that's being established. We believe, again, that what we can provide for this new world order are socialist values, our values of solidarity, our values of defending peace and diplomacy. So this is where we're at. This is what we're working towards. Again, it's important. We are always so thankful for all of your solidarity, and the way you were, like I said, very close to the cause of Alex's freedom. Well, we still need you to be close to us. We still need you to be close to the Venezuelan people. We still need you to denounce this aggression of trying to reimpose these sanctions or to aggravate the ones that exist. It's ironic, that they can't see, they don't understand that the migration crisis they have, that all the problems they have within the United States are only made worse by the application of these sanctions on us. So, but that's the route they want to take. Well, you know, they'll find here a people that are willing to defend their rights, and they're not going to give up, nor now nor ever. So we're very thankful. Please continue to denounce this aggression. Please continue to accompany the Venezuelan people in our transformations. And once again, thank you for all the solidarity you gave to Alex, to his family, and to all of us here in the Bolivarian Revolution. You know that the same way that we know we count with your support and solidarity, you always have the support and solidarity of all of the Venezuelan people. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Vice Minister Carlos Ron, for those powerful words of encouragement and commitment. Of course, our work in solidarity with Venezuela would not be possible if Venezuela wasn't resisting. We stand against sanctions side by side and against imperialism and wars and attacks by the US government, accompanied always, as you said, by the government of Canada, together with the people of Venezuela. So very good to be struggling alongside you. Like we said, marching on from this victory. So everything that you discussed is what Alex was fighting for from within prison, and we know that. And it's great to have you here today. So I next wanted to invite up Camilla Fabry Saab, who has come to join us to share a few words. Very grateful, Camilla, for making time to come and give your greetings and say hello. As I said, it was incredible to watch you in video. Thank you for being so public with your emotion and your reuniting with Alex. It's given us so much hope and inspiration. So thank you, Camilla. Please, the floor is yours.
Buenas noches, Alison.
Good evening, Alison. We made it. We were able to bring Alex back home. And thank you, Alison. You are a friend that has accompanied the struggle of my family without stop. And with these actions, the management of the administration of President Maduro and the people of Venezuela, and the presence of all these movements and organizations are friends to Venezuela, like Fight This Time, or my brothers and sisters of the movement Free Alex Saab, which are my family. Today, thanks to all of them, today I'm being able to leave this reencounter that since the November the 20th of 2023, life has been completely different for me, and every single moment has a lot of importance. Now we need to recover all these hugs and all these memories that we weren't able to share during these last 3 years and a half. To watch the video that you showed at the very beginning, it's so exciting and touching. I still feel my heart beating to see my youngest daughter seeing her father for almost for first time, and everything that we've lived in this past month that has given us the chance to recover all this lost time. It's been happiness. I also want to greet all the speakers here, this Vice Minister Carlos Ron, who has always been with us in this struggle. Thank you so much for all your support. Dr. Maria Paez Victor from the Círculo Bolivariano, to Jill Clark Gulub, organizer of the new campaign America Without Sanctions, my sister and my friend, the lawyer Indriana Parada, that is also a member of the movement Free Alex in Venezuela, and to all the members that are online today and and all those who will watch this webinar later on. From the moment that the struggle for the liberation of Alex started, we identified that the liberation was not separated from a process of respect of people's sovereignty, of of the those people that are opposing freedom. I want to thank you because it's true that without the support of so many people in the world, Venezuela's truth wouldn't have a space, wouldn't be heard. All the movements made this possible, and I also wanted uh, to say, as Carlos Ron said as well, to thank him and to ask you as well, let's not rest. We need to continue because the imposition of the sanctions to Venezuela, it's a damage against the Venezuelan people. And those who have asked for sanctions, they said that it was for the well-being. But the well-being of whom? Would it be for the transnational corporations, perhaps? So the extortion and of the sanctions are once again the only offer for people that are looking for having a life peacefully. I would like to ask you to join again all together, making our voices be heard and promoting activities and doing forums, sending postcards, for all the aggression to stop every month in order to ask for the rise of all the sanctions against Venezuela. I will keep on fighting and I will be a part every time Alison calls me, and with all the actions that we do. There were actions over 40 countries in the world for Alex, and to reiterate that the struggle of our people is to take care of peace and to end injustice and end the transnational interests. Let's continue doing letters and disseminating the truth of Venezuela uh, for its people. Let's keep on doing actions together in order to battle communicational hegemonic, because what we are facing is also a media war. So it's important to raise our voice in every possible space. We know that by being together, we can defeat the evil. And we, Alex and I, are the living example that miracles exist and that hope and that the good is always going to defeat the evil. Thank you so much. Let's keep on defeating everybody. Thank you.
Yes, Camila, venceremos. We will win, right? We have one. We will win. Thank you so much for joining us here today. I'm sure every minute you have is precious, and we really appreciate it. It's yeah, just so beautiful to see you and see this new face and this new you in a lot of ways. You were always so strong, but you are different now, of course. I wanted to also say, I know the Free Alex Saab movement, we will be planning many more activities and gatherings to celebrate this victory. So we look forward to joining with everyone internationally who worked so hard for Alex Saab's freedom at the monthly pickets or other actions. And yes, thank you so much. So next, we are going to have words from Indriana Parada, who is joining us also from the Free Alex Saab movement, where she was alongside Camilla and many others working tirelessly for Alex Saab's freedom. She is a Venezuelan lawyer and expert in human rights, and has continued her defense of Venezuela seamlessly, especially through this last month, focusing research on many other things. And it's been a pleasure to get to know you, Adriana, and to continue following your tweets and investigations to break the media blockade in so many ways, as Camilla has said. Anyhow, Adriana, the floor is yours. Welcome.
Bueno, muy buenas noches. Hola,
Good
Alison.
evening. Hello, Alison. First, I wanted to greet you and to thank you and to thank the whole Solidarity with Venezuela movement who continued in solidarity with the Venezuelan people, with all of us. Here from Venezuela, we send you a very big hug. And also, I wanted to greet and hug Camila in the distance. Also to greet Vice Minister Carlos Ron and to all people who are joining us here tonight. I want to start by saying that, of course, we are extremely happy at the Free Alex Saab movement. On December the 20th, that day when we saw all our struggle become real, we saw our diplomat come into his land, to his territory where he should have always been. And to see Alex Saab reunited with his family and his daughters, that leads us to a reflection, to a message that we want to convey to the world. The case of our diplomat Alex Saab started with a kidnapping, a cruel kidnapping, and a serious violation of human rights. Throughout these struggles, well, this case is a testimony, an example that when you struggle with truth and with conviction, you can show that you obtain positive results. So this is a victory for the people of Venezuela, but it's also an example for the whole world. The struggles with truth on your side always have a positive result. So with this success, and with this very few days our diplomat had in his country, well, he's already active, struggling for Venezuela. And this is what we are still doing at the Free Alex Saab movement, and all of the members, those of us who love Venezuela as our motherland, and those who want Venezuela free of sanctions, independent, sovereign, and with the self-determination authority. So this is why our diplomat is already active, working for the defense of Venezuela. And here we want to send a message to the world demanding the end to unilateral coercive sanctions. This is a very important moment because at least 50% of the world's population will be facing elections in a period that we call the exercise of sovereignty, the exercise of democracy. And unfortunately, Venezuela is headed to this period under a threat. A threat has been imposed on us for over 8 years. However, the people of Venezuela has historically resisted this and has shown resilience. We have proven that despite all these attacks, the United Peoples show that truth must prevail and that we have to impose respect over sovereignty and self-determination. In this past few days, there have been a lot of activity. We have seen once again that policies are to be imposed on us, rules and candidates they want to impose on us, which are not in line with the exercise of sovereignty. However, the people of Venezuela and the government of Venezuela have shown that with popular unity, we will continue having victory over these aggressions. The unilateral coercive sanctions are a policy that has been qualified as a form of genocide. We have to make a call into the world where we unite and we can raise our voices to show that these coercive measures are international crimes that create a humanitarian consequences. And we have seen these in the people of Venezuela. We have lived very tough moments, which, thanks to a very positive political policies of reinvesting our resources, we have had to reorganize ourselves, and we have been able to face this and overcome this. And we were able to break through a financial and trade blockade. However, unfortunately, as Camila was saying, we are seeing a media blockade that tries to impose more difficulty upon us. So we have to break through that blockade, and we have to tell the truth to the world. Despite us having gone through this unjust and unfair blockade for over 8 years, that despite losing 99 out of each $100 that come into our country, despite our income having been reduced by millions of dollars, despite the fact that in 8 years, our between almost $30 million have been retained illegally, and that we have managed to live with 10% of the total income for our nation for 1 year. Despite all of this, in 2023, Venezuela showed very positive indicators of economic growth. Over 5% of our GDP was increased. And in 2023, in December, we saw stability in terms of inflation. The last quarter, we saw stability, and we managed to reduce the hyperinflation that was also, of course, the result of all these policies of aggression. So far from seeing this as a difficulty for the government of the revolutionary Bolivarian movement, actually, this government has guaranteed the population of Venezuela access to food, to health, to public utilities. Even though there have been many difficulties, we have managed to overcome, and also through social policies. We have seen a diversification of economy, and as of this year, as Mr. Carlos Ron said, there have been 7 deep transformations that we are working on. So with all of this, I want to say that despite all these hurdles, there's still a foreign government that intends to continue imposing upon us policies from abroad. So we have to be an example, a testimony before the world. We have to reject all sorts of interventions and meddling and aggression. So this is why we are committed and decided to have our people's willingness respected, to have the conventions and agreements be respected, and our constitutions be respected. As we said before, Alex Saab is an example of the fact that struggles have positive results. And as Camila said, this is a testament to a miracle. But right now, Venezuela is an example before the world of the fact that when there's a people committed to defend its self-determination and its motherland, struggles can have positive results. So we continue making a calling to all solidarity movements with Venezuela all around the world, so that we can continue reporting, denouncing this attempt of having international crimes against Venezuela and a true economic genocide on our country. And we continue to demanding from the international community to stop supporting this capitalist interest and rather support the decision of a people and the defense of its sovereignty. Today, this is Venezuela, but tomorrow this can be any other country. Actually, at this moment, there are 30 countries that are illegally sanctioned, illegally subjected to this aggressive policy. And actually, these are countries that are very small or in development. So this is further, even more illegal and aggressive on the part of the empire against these small growing countries. So of course, we continue here struggling, we continue in our fight with solidarity movements, and we will continue planning and scheduling forums, activities, so that we can actually break through this media blockade and this communication blockade, so that we can tell the truth to the world. Right now, there's a people that is at peace, a people that is working and fighting every day. We have a diplomat that is already working to create new investments and to diversify our economy. Despite the threats and the sanctions being imposed once again, we will know how to overcome, we will know how to face this, and now with more strength because we have this experience. So thank you very much, Alison, and we send you a very big hug from here from Venezuela. Thank you.
Thank you, Adriana Parada. A big hug to you as well. It's the work ahead of us, yes, is very great, but we have so much important work in international solidarity to give and to show. We see Canada's aggression against Venezuela continuing and increasing alongside the United States, but we're also aware that the world is seeing now more than ever what collective punishment of an entire people's means and can identify with sanctions, blockades, the imposition of famine, and even genocide, and hopefully see and understand and know better the source of these attacks of the world, being the US government and its allies like the government of Canada. So there are many people that we can reach and talk to about what's happening in Venezuela, about Venezuelans' support for the Palestinian people, and about the necessity for international solidarity and standing together. So thank you so much, Adriana, for continuing all of your work every day. We have two more speakers today. We do have Dr. Maria Paez Victor and then Jill Clark-Golub, but I did want to share a short message that we did receive to the Fire This Time movement for social justice, but really also to all of you that attend monthly pickets and have supported these actions for the past 35 months and participated in the postcard campaign and all of the work of the international movement to free Alex Saab. So I think everyone should be able to see this. This is a letter in Spanish addressed to myself, Fire This Time Movement for Social Justice, Vancouver, Canada. It is from Alex Saab, and it says, "Dear Señorita Bodin, receive a cordial greetings, Bolivarian and revolutionary. I am writing to express my gratitude, my profound gratitude for having my case in your agenda of struggle. The online monthly actions and the postcard campaign to the United States were fundamental in order for people to know about my case in North America. Political prisoners are constantly struggling not only against injustice and the injustice of their imprisonment, but also struggling to not be forgotten. And it's a constant force of people like you and your organization that have enabled us to confront this. And for this, you are a part of my soul and strengthen my soul. I want to also thank you on this occasion and take this occasion to let you know that I'm going to continue to work for just causes, and I will continue to tell the truth about Venezuela, and hopefully that we'll get to meet in person soon. Signed, at your attention, at your service, Alex Saab Moran. So thank you for my rough translation, but thank you, of course, to Alex Saab for taking the time to write that letter to Fire This Time Movement for Social Justice, Venezuela Solidarity Campaign, but also to all of you who support this work every month. It is an incredible gesture of solidarity to think and know that he was thinking of us. And I just also wanted to encourage people to follow Alex's account on Twitter, on social media. He is, of course, part of working in defense of the Bolivarian Revolution in Venezuela. He is now president of the International Center for Productive Investment. And so you can follow his work by following him on Twitter. And the link is in the chat for anyone that might not follow him already. So next I want to share the video from Dr. Maria Paez-Victor, who actually got up early with me this morning to record it because she had an urgent appointment to attend to this afternoon, and so is not able to be with us in here in person. But Dr. Maria Paez-Victor is one of the founders of the Louis Riel Bolivarian Circle, founded in 2003 in Toronto, Canada. She is a sociologist born in Venezuela with graduate degrees from Venezuela, the UK, and Canada. She is an author, retired from university, teaching and consulting, but is now the producer of the only radio program in Canada exclusively on Venezuela called Venezuela Viva.
On this panel with Minister Carlos Ron and Jill Clark-Golub and all the representatives from the Free Alex Saab movement. Well, dear friends from all over the world who helped free Alex Saab, this extraordinary ambassador of Venezuela, whose efforts brought food and medicine to the people of Venezuela in a critical moment when the power of the hegemon, the United States and its allies, had denied the country that and much more, causing more than 100,000 avoidable deaths in the country. So today we come to think about this international campaign that worked so hard to free him and that was successful, to examine it and learn from it, because as Socrates wisely and famously said, the unexamined life is not worth living. An important characteristic of the success of this campaign lies in the fact that it was about a particular man, that we got to know about who he is, his family, his courageous wife, who was front and center of the campaign. We got to know why he was abroad, what he was doing, and we learned to our distress the terror and the torture to which he was submitted. In other words, we had a real human being to fight for who had done no wrong and was treated with vileness and inhumanity. I would like to tell you that this solidarity, this wonderful campaign to free Alex Saab, helped very much when the government of Venezuela was negotiating for his liberty. You know, it's human nature to identify tremendously with one person. In a way we cannot when statistics are presented about hundreds of others who are suffering. I believe it is because the bigger numbers are hard for us, of our imagination, to grasp. But grasp we must, because the level of warmongering, of human suffering that the US has inflicted on the world and its allies is simply outrageous. So much so that has become difficult to envision. Just think of the 248 years of that country's political life. It has been in a state of war for 22 years. That's 93% of its political life. There was Pax Romana and Pax Britannica with other empires, but no historian is going to talk about Pax from USA. And Latin America has suffered much from this USA's thirst for dominance. Since the independence of our nations in the 1800s, there has been more than 90 US invasions and overthrowing of governments that Latin America has had. We famously remember how Salvador Allende was murdered, his government obliterated. And of course, we remember the evil, monstrous Plan Condor a planned international terror under the disguise of the Cold War, and all the other wars it has carried out or abetted, such as now the Palestinian-Israeli conflict, where instead of using its power, its presence in international sphere to truly seek a peaceful negotiation, it uses its power to keep that conflict going. But we are at a crossroads of a new geopolitical configuration. Now, we mustn't be like Pollyanna and believe that we have managed already to create a multipolar, more democratic and egalitarian world. No, the road is still rocky and not all is assured, but we can now envision the road we want to take. So the second consideration that we can deduce from the Free Alex campaign is that there are people, real people from the United States and from all over the world who cared, who did something to try to gain his freedom in this outrageous event. Even when it seemed like a futile gesture, it is the beauty, the delight, the wonder of human solidarity. Solidarity is the cornerstone of humanism. It's the cornerstone of socialism. It's the cornerstone of all the Judeo-Christian tradition. It is also something that we are wired towards, as sociology and anthropology so clearly attest that the success of Homo sapiens was precisely in its capacity to cooperate with its fellow human beings to obtain the means of survival. But this is downplayed in this world where the market forces have been deified. And it is the key thing that capitalism and imperialism most wants us to forget or denigrate, because the philosophy of capitalism and the version of libertarianism so popular today is every man for himself, and every woman, of course. That is extreme individual. As Margaret Thatcher infamously said, there is no society, only the individual. Furthermore, they have tried to state in many ways that war is a natural state of the human being, but there's no archaeological evidence whatsoever for early warfare, for the idea that war is in our nature. There being no convincing scientific evidence for prehistoric warfare. So don't doubt it. There is a conspiracy. But more than that, it's almost unconscious now to try to persuade us that Darwin meant that only the strong survive. He did not. That it is not the job of the state to coddle us, that we must fend for ourselves unless you are the economic elite. Then the state's purpose is to coddle it as much as it can. Capitalism, from its very start, has waged a relentless war to deny power to trade unions and to denigrate unionism as much as possible. It firmly tries to convince us that we are not our brother's keepers. It is not working. The new geographical configuration has stellarly examples of it. What concretely are these forces that counter this savage capitalism, as Chavez used to call it, that is forming a new road? Well, first of all, the empire can no longer command admiration. The American dream is all but forgotten in dreams. It's very hard for it to allure anymore. First, domestically, in the United States, we see the deterioration of the lives of ordinary people. Capitalism isn't producing all the goods or the benefits, the progress, the wonderful life that it has promised. In the United States, we see the deterioration of their standard of living, of the increase of racism and violence there, of the loss of respect even for state institutions and powers. How can it be that a president who incited a mob to violently attack their Congress building is not only not in jail, but has thousands of supporters still and may still be the next president? Something is definitely rotten and not in Denmark. Secondly, internationally, when the US lied to the world about the weapons of mass destruction, I can't get out of my mind that scene of Colin Powell lying to us from the United Nations. So it lied to us about these weapons of mass destruction so we could invade Iraq. Then he followed that with the wanton destruction of Libya and then tried with Syria, and something really snapped in the international world. Every foreign policy that has come out of Washington since then has been questioned by somebody somewhere, by movements, but especially by the nations that have less power, especially by the nations in Latin America and Africa. We have seen just how lethal the bombs are, how flippantly collateral damage means death to innocents. Furthermore, the structure of supposed international law has proven to be only another tool to dominate other countries. So the rule of law is the rule of capitalist interest. Therefore, lawfare is now another tool of the empire. And this further has undermined the authority, the pull, the factor of the USA and its allies. We need a new, more, you can say it, more democratic concept of democracy. And we certainly need a new configuration of what is international law. We can't play by the rules that exist right now. Thirdly, we see the efforts to come together in Latin America and the Caribbean and in Africa. By the way, these efforts, every one of them, are being continuously sabotaged, as you may well expect. The existence of the BRIC, the efforts such as in Venezuela of decoupling from the dollar and using other currencies, the strengthening of CELAC, the creating of a new SWIFT system, a new financial infrastructure. The role of China and Russia has been crucial in all of this. And as to China, investing in other countries with no political strings attached, investing in projects that the countries truly need, like ports and airports and such, not commodities linked to consumer corporations. Not that China has not benefited, but it has not dominated the politics of other countries. It had exerted a fine respect for other cultures. Now, you in this campaign to free Alex Saab have followed in a grand Venezuelan tradition of liberty. It's not widely known that the Patriot Army of the liberator Simón Bolivar had many volunteers from Europe, especially England and Ireland. And there were some French and Prussians also that joined Bolivar to free the subcontinent from the horrors of the Spanish Empire. These men defied their own governments because it was against their laws to fight for the freedom of people they did not know, yet they risked their lives for them. They were their brother's keepers. Now, this is election year in Venezuela. The negotiations and agreements of Barbados with the United States and the extreme opposition are deathly wounded. They have made the United States and the extreme opposition in Venezuela have made fools of Venezuela, of Barbados, and of Norway, because the Venezuelan intelligence service have revealed that there were 5 conspiracies in the year 2023 at the same time that the negotiations for peace were being conducted, to assassinate President Maduro and other leaders, to create public chaos, to topple the government and allow a group of nations to invade Venezuela. This came as a huge blow to the hopes of so many, as we thought we had turned a corner, that the extreme opposition was giving up on their conspiracies. And most importantly, that the United States was taking seriously peace negotiations of Venezuela. Washington has shown that its word cannot be taken at face value. And there is, on the one hand, cordiality, offering, peace, and with another, it's organizing coups and assassinations. There's always hope that a new leadership will someday emerge in the United States beyond the 2 ancient relics that are their present contenders. But we can now expect that since their mask has been torn from their face, that they will unleash even more attacks on Venezuela this electoral year. So be warned, we must be prepared for this. I would give much to know what the oil companies of the United States, especially of Texas, are thinking about these conspiracies of the CIA. Did they know what was happening as they tried to negotiate with Venezuela? They may fear that the CIA has put a spanner in their works, because let us not forget, the USA and these companies in particular need Venezuelan oil. but they are not helping themselves with these coup attempts. So to finalize, I'm really looking forward to hearing what my fellow panelists are going to say and learn from them. But for me to finalize, as a Venezuelan, I thank you all most sincerely for helping to free that innocent man, Ambassador Alex Saab. And as we say in Venezuela, que Dios se lo pague. May God reward you all for this. You have done a wonderful thing. Thank you very much for listening to me. And thank you, Alison, for giving me this opportunity.
So big thank you to Dr. Maria Paez Victor for that summary. I realize and I know today we've had more panelists and speaking than usual, but I think it's very important for this celebration. And stay tuned because we will also have more international greetings from folks that have joined us on the call today, because I want to make sure that we all have a chance to celebrate this victory together. Now, the final panelist for tonight is Jill Clark-Golub, who is here to talk to us, you know, as a Latin America Solidarity organizer and a professional interpreter and translator. Jill is an organizer with Friends of Latin America, which is an organization based in Maryland in the United States, which is right next to Washington, D.C., in fact, and is also an assistant editor and translator at the Council on Hemispheric Affairs, or COHA. And Jill is going to be speaking about a new campaign, though, called Americas Without Sanctions, which is a campaign to end all unilateral coercive measures imposed on the countries of the Americas, specifically those harming the peoples of Cuba, Nicaragua, and Venezuela. So I believe, Jill, you should be able to share your screen, and we are looking forward to your panel presentation, which is great because it takes us to action and what we need to do against everything that we've discussed today.
Thank you so much, Allison. It's really an honor to be here. I just wonder if Indriana has something urgent. I see a hand raised. Do we need to check on that? Okay, well, I guess, oh, there she is.
All good. Gracias, Indriana.
Okay, thank you. It is such a privilege to be here with all of you, the leaders of the Alex Saab campaign, and with Camila Frabri Saab, whom I have admired over all of these months. And it is such an honor to share with you just 1 month after the celebration of his freedom, which you all won with so much effort. And I just want to say a little bit in Spanish to mis compañeros y compañeras de Venezuela, mis felicidades más
to my comrades in Venezuela, my most sincere congratulations for the hero, not only of Venezuela, but actually of the 40 countries that are living under these unilateral coercive measures imposed by the United States. And in fact, as like many other countries who are facing the threats of those sanctions, Alex defended his people, and he's a hero not only for Venezuela and for Latin America, but also for the whole world. So a big congratulations to the Saab family, and it's a pleasure for me to be here with you, Camila.
As Allison said, I am an activist with Friends of Latin America, and Friends of Latin America and Code Pink and the Alliance for Global Justice launched a new initiative that now has several co-sponsors, including some of your organizations. And I'd like to show you a little bit about what this Americas Without Sanctions campaign has to offer. Invite you to join us and talk about some of the things that we hope this will help us do to fight sanctions. So I'm sharing with you the beautiful new website that we have about Americas Without Sanctions. And as Allison read to you, it's a campaign to end all unilateral coercive measures imposed on the countries of the Americas, specifically those harming the people of Cuba, Nicaragua, and Venezuela. Economic coercive measures, commonly referred to as sanctions, are a form of warfare that brings suffering and death to the most vulnerable populations in the targeted country: children, the elderly, the sick, and the poor. So I think that I'm with an audience of experts on this topic, and we don't need to go into that any further. So I will just show you. There's been mention here by someone who spoke before me about the resolution in Congress. Many of these actions are directed towards the United States Congress. We know that the United States is the sanctioner of the world, and that's appropriate that a lot of this is directed towards the United States, but there are also components that people outside of the United States can be involved in as well. But this one there is a resolution in the United States House of Representatives that talks about annulling the Monroe Doctrine, which has governed U.S. policy for the past 200 years, which has been so damaging to Latin America. And we particularly support a resolution in there that I hope you're seeing the change screen that I just clicked on, that calls for an end to unilateral economic measures or sanctions. This is the button that I want to draw all of the organizations represented here to, the endorsement tab. And you can click on there. You can see we have a very brief description of the current sanctions on the 3 countries. We have a brief list of some of the first endorsing organizations. So I invite you to have your organization join there. And this is where individuals can join the Americas Without Sanctions campaign. And we also have a tab now for advocacy days. We had an advocacy day in October. I think we'll probably do one at the U.S. Congress probably in the spring. Whoops, at any rate, I can stop sharing now. But we are not going to have a lot of meetings, but we hope to primarily use this platform to share information about sanctions in the individual countries, the sanctions bills that we're trying to stop, and also information about the impact of sanctions. So sharing information, advocacy days, and we also discussed the possibility of holding a webinar, maybe in March or April. And in this, the campaign in general tries to highlight the immorality of sanctions and the illegality of sanctions, and really the human cost of these unilateral coercive measures. But as we discussed at the meeting last Friday of the Latin America Solidarity Committee, convened by Code Pink, people recognize that even though sanctions are really designed to bring about regime change, and they seldom succeed at actually accomplishing that, but what they do succeed at doing is causing suffering within countries and causing economies to collapse. And I think this is very true of what we've seen in Cuba and Venezuela. And so they're used as a tool to promote a narrative that, oh, socialism doesn't work. Or, you know, when you have a country with progressive policies and a lot of, you know, social programs and people-oriented, oh, that never works. Well, it's the sanctions that are punishing the country that are causing things to not work as well as they should. And I would add that those of us involved in this campaign believe that Cuba, Venezuela, and Nicaragua are doing quite well by their people despite all of these hardships. So that may be a theme that we could incorporate into a new webinar. We don't yet have an information tab, but we would I will put in the chat. Oh, great. Allison put in the link. So you can go to the website and endorse on behalf of your organization or join as an individual. And we hope soon to have information segments where you can find information about the sanctions and their impact in the different countries and also in general. And for example, one thing that we might want to share is this information about what the Mexican president, Andrés Manuel López Obrador, said recently, that talking to the United States about immigration issues, and he said that the United States should be sending more development aid to migrants' home countries and reduce or eliminate sanctions against Cuba and Venezuela. So this is the kind of information that we want to make sure that everyone is aware of. And that's what I wanted to tell you about. Thank you again for having me here, and many congratulations to Alex Saab, to the Saab family, and to the Venezuelan people on Alex's release. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jill, for joining us. I really appreciate, and I think, yes, a great way to close the panel is talking about action, and would say that even if you're not in Washington, D.C., maybe you won't be able to go to an advocacy day on the Hill, but this is a campaign of groups in Canada and the United States and perhaps beyond who are going to talk to each other and strategize against fighting these criminal sanctions. And I really encourage people to endorse the campaign as individuals, and also all of us who are representing organizations on the call today to join too. And thank you for making the time to come and share. We're now at the time during the Picket action when we get to hear some greetings from people working throughout the United States and Canada who have joined us here tonight and have a few words to share. And then we'll go into our group photo. The group photo is a chance for anyone who's able to turn on your cameras. We'll chant together, and if you have a sign or anything to hold up, please do. But if you don't, feel free as well to just join with your fists or your smile, and we'll unite our voices. So I wanted to first welcome Karen Rodman, who's here from Just Peace Advocates, one of the co-organizers of the monthly Picket Actions. Karen, welcome.
Thank you. And thank you so much, Allison. And what an honor to be on this journey and to be at this milestone tonight. So much more work to be done, but important to be able to pause and just celebrate the moment that we are in. So we're glad to be on the journey and working with Allison and everybody else, and look forward to the work that is in front of us.
Awesome. Thank you, Karen. Next, we have Cesar Sanchez, who's joining from New York, New Jersey, a Latin America and Cuba solidarity activist. Cesar.
Well, saludos to everyone. Thank you, Allison, of course, to my sisters up in Canada for actually organizing this. I do apologize for coming in slightly late. I haven't heard all the panelists, but I heard some very fantastic, inspiring words. But just to let everybody know, the celebrations of Alex Saab, and I see Camelia right there. Camila's face, she's so happy, and I'm so happy for her too. I could only imagine her happiness when she saw her husband again and the family once again united. So that's congratulations to all of us, to you, Allison, to the whole crew. I mean, this has been an international ongoing effort, but as we all mentioned, and we did talk, this, the fight continues, and we have to continue to struggle because we have a huge project ahead of us, and we gotta end the blockade, the sanctions against Venezuela, Cuba, Latin America, and of course this system has to be eradicated once and for all, but that's gonna take a lot of work. So we gotta keep fighting. That's what I say.
Cesar. Yes, it's true. Next, I wanted to say Dean Ebert, I know, is here from Hamilton Coalition to Stop the War. Thank you also to the support from Hamilton Coalition to Stop the War for these monthly picket actions. Hamilton is in Ontario, Canada. And to welcome up next Irma Sofia Nava, who is our compañera from Mexico, who has been supporting and organizing for Alex Saab within Mexico. Irma, it's very good to see you. Please say a few words. Estás en muda, you're in mute.
Activar, ya.
Todo bien.
Ya estoy, ¿verdad?
You can hear me now, right? Yes. So from Mexico, a big, big hug to all of you. I'm fascinated and shocked because Alex Saab is already free. So a very big hug to Carlos Ron, Camila. I saw you recently during the mega elections. We have the responsibility to tell the world how Venezuela is, those of us who have visited. I was there for 14 days and then for 17 days in Caracas, in other parts. I am feeling Bolivarian because Venezuela unites us. So we have to be very clear. These are not sanctions because Venezuela has not committed any crime. These are unilateral coercive measures, and this is what we should call them. These measures are imposed not only on Venezuela, but actually on countries, and they prevent them to have access to resources. They are depriving many countries from having trade relations among them. So we are here fighting against that. We celebrate the freedom of Alex Saab, and we have to continue fighting for putting an end to this action. So long live Alex Saab. Thank you, dear friends.
Thank you, Irma. Un abrazo.
Gracias.
So next, Dean Ebert, you were able to join us. Would you like to say a few words from Ontario?
Yes, just quickly, I'm so absolutely thrilled that, you know, Alex is free, but this is a motivator for us. It's a motivator for us to keep up the good fight. And I want to share a quote that's always been important to me as a focal point to move forward. And I'm going to quote this directly. A defining moment is a point in your life when you're urged to make a pivotal decision or when you experience something that fundamentally changes you. You will all have a defining moment in your life that will carry you till the end of time. It's what feeds you to move in the right direction. I applaud everybody that's had a hand in freeing an innocent man who has, you know, his country and the population of his country close to his heart. You can win. We can prevail. Thank you.
Thank you. Very true. Thank you for sharing those words. And next, I have Andrew Barry, who's here from Vancouver, Canada, with Mobilization Against War and Occupation. Andrew.
Thanks, Allison. I wanted to echo some of the comments made by the previous organizers internationally. It's quite an amazing feeling for us outside of Venezuela to see now on Twitter Alex Saab tweeting. So it's a little bit surreal for us to see that right now. But I imagine for Carlos, Indriana, and of course for Camila, to have Alex Saab free in Venezuela has to be such an amazing feeling. And I think it's a great inspiration for all of us here today and for everyone involved in the free Alex Saab movement. And it brings us the question, which people have discussed, is what is next for us in the struggle. So we have seen the hostile comments by the United States government and the government of Canada today against Venezuela's democratic process. And as an anti-war organizer in Canada, a country that along with the United States has committed war crimes across the world, from Haiti to Iraq to Afghanistan to Yemen and of course Palestine today, and its own history of genocide against indigenous people across what is today United States and Canada. Canada and United States have no right to ever discuss the internal politics of a country like Venezuela that is trying to move forward and trying to bring about a more egalitarian process to their people. So I think for us in the international solidarity movement with Venezuela, the struggle for us to defend Venezuela continues, and we just received a huge victory and gives us more motivation on our side having Alex Saab free. So it's great to have Alex free home in Venezuela, and US and Canada, keep your hands off Venezuela.
Hands off Venezuela. Thank you, Andrew, and to everyone that shared their words. We're now going to move towards a group photo. So you should receive an invitation to rejoin the webinar as a panelist. It will pop up on your screen. If you say yes, it will take a second, but you'll join us in the panelist space and be able to turn on your camera and your microphone. But I did, as we start to send those invitations out, want to see if Camilla, there were any closing words you wanted to share, and then I'll ask you as well, Carlos, if you'd like to say a few words to close us out.
Voy yo, entonces. Quiero agradecer.
Okay, I'd like to thank, it's been amazing to see you all again, all the people that have intervened in the campaign, Andrew, Indraina, Irma, Sofia, Karen, Cesar. Thank you so much for all your support, for supporting me during these years of struggle. It's really been so important for me and for Alex. And all the in some messages, people ask if Alex received your letters, and he has received all of your letters, and they have become his strength. These letters would give him the strength to keep on fighting. And what you've done is really, really huge, and you will always have all my my gratitude. Thank you so much. We keep on fighting, and we will win. Thank you, Alison.
Gracias, Camila. Thank you, Camila. And Vice Minister Carlos Ron, is there anything you would like to say to close tonight?
Well, just once again, to thank everyone for your solidarity, for standing always with us. It's so great to see friendly faces, but also to learn to know that we're all in the same struggle together. Thank you for always keeping Alex in your thoughts and in your struggle, but also for always maintaining Venezuela and our struggles in your minds and in your work. So thank you, and again, all our hearts out to you as well. Thank you.
Give us 1 second, please. Thank you, Vice Minister Carlos Ron, and all of the panelists here today. We've had an excellent panel, as I said at the beginning, as we committed to each other at the beginning, to not only celebrate the tremendous victory of the release of Alex Saab, but to redouble our commitment to continuing the struggle against US and Canada blockade and sanctions on Venezuela. And it only so happened that today we found the US and Canada both making pro-interventionist statements against the government of Venezuela, and also taking away some of the licenses that had been granted to Venezuelan companies, relieving tiny bit of the sanctions. So we are here today to say our struggle continues. We will be here at the last Tuesday of January. Again, it's going to be February 27th, 2024, and to invite everyone to turn on their cameras. If you haven't received the invitation yet, please raise your hand and we'll invite you. A lot of folks are here with us, but if you'd like to turn on your camera, raise your hand and I will send the invite. It's again, a pop-up will come up that will allow you to be promoted to panelist. So you can raise your hand. I thought I went to grab the Free Alex Saab postcard that we were holding up at photos usually. This isn't needed anymore. This was the postcards we sent on to the White House. We're going to put that down. We're going to pick up a new sign. America without sanctions. Excellent. US, Canada, hands off Venezuela, and so many others. LE and Gustavo, I was going to call on you earlier, but you weren't there. Hello. Thank you so much for your solidarity from Colombia. We're still sending a few more invites here. Thank you again for joining this monthly picket action, the 35th consecutive monthly picket action organized by Fire This Time Movement for Social Justice, Venezuela Solidarity Campaign, the Venezuela Peace Committee in Winnipeg, and Just Peace Advocates. There's still a few more people joining. I'll say it one more time. If you'd like to join us in this space and join the group photo, then please turn on your camera and raise your hand or post in the chat if you didn't get the invitation. We will continue this struggle to end US-Canada sanctions against Venezuela, and we hope to see you all in Venezuela as well.
Allison,
Yes.
one more thing. In 3 days' time, it'll be our the 25th anniversary of the Bolivarian Revolution. It's the day that President Chavez took office for the first time and started this whole process. So we're also, going to enter this 25th year of the revolution with a lot of happiness and a lot of encouragement from your solidarity. So keep that in mind as well. And we are celebrating those 25 years of transformation and people's power.
Thank you. Yes, Viva Venezuela. We will look forward to participating, I'm sure, in many events to celebrate that historic event at the 25th anniversary of the Bolivarian revolutionary process. And also use that as an opportunity for us to educate people about what's really happening in Venezuela. All right, it looks like most folks are ready for the group photo. I'm looking to seeing lots of faces. We'll go at, oh, Johan, let me get you joined here. Let's go.
Allison, don't forget the cat. You got to get the cat.
Yeah. Of course.
I see a beautiful cat. Don't forget the cat.
Yeah.
Ese gato que está ahí.
It's true. And I think people can unmute them their own selves. I was just going to double check that setting, but now it's disappeared.
It's unmuted.
I think you should be able to. Yeah. Okay.
What's that? Okay.
Hands off Venezuela.
Hands off Venezuela. Venezuela.
Hands off Venezuela.
Manos fuera de Venezuela.
Manos fuera de Venezuela.
Manos fuera de Venezuela.
Continua.
Hands off Venezuela.
You all look great. We are here celebrating the victory of Alex Saab. Camila received a gigantic hug and solidarity from all of us. There's a lot of work ahead, but we are here united. We will join together across the United States and Canada to build a stronger and more united campaign.
There's the cat.
Blockade. Yes, here we are with the beautiful cat. To all of your beautiful faces. Once again, hands off Venezuela.
Hands off Venezuela.
Hands off Venezuela.
25 years.
International solidarity.
Felicitaciones. 25 years.
Felicidades.
We will see you for the next picket action on the 27th of February. Thank you all. Good night.
Thank you. Thanks, Allison.
Good night.
Good night.
Buenas noches a todos. Un fuerte abrazo.
Venceremos.
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 Adiós.